All right. Welcome back from closed session. We're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. If you would please stand and join with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I have a broadcast statement that I need to read. Broadcast and recording is being made at the direction of the board, and the broadcast may capture images and sounds of those attending the meeting. The meeting is being live streamed on the district's YouTube channel. The public's health and well-being are the top priority for the Board of Trustees of Folsom Cordova Unified School District, and you are urged to take all appropriate health safety precautions. Folsom Cordova Unified School District Board Policy 1313 promotes mutual respect, civility, and orderly conduct among employees, parents, and the public. We will treat staff, parents, and members of the public with respect and expect the same in return. If any member of the public uses obscenities or communicates in a demanding, loud, insulting, or demeaning manner, the board will calmly and politely admonish the person to communicate civilly. Public comments during board meetings are an important component of public engagement and transparency, and all written comments submitted to the board by 3 p.m. today have been read. Per the Brown Act, the board is not allowed to enter into a two-way discussion on any matter not on the agenda. At the direction of the board, the superintendent will call roll to acknowledge the board received all electronic comments submitted by 3 p.m. today as it pertains to today's board meeting. Superintendent, please call the roll.
Yes, Mr. Reed.
Here.
Mr. Hoover.
Here.
Mr. Clark.
Here.
Mr. Short.
Here.
Mr. Huey.
Here.
Ms. Gow.
Here.
All are here. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, reporting of closed session. Superintendent?
We have no action to report out of closed session tonight.
All right, thank you. Adoption of the agenda. Is there a motion?
I'll move it.
Motion by
Second.
Mr. Clark, a second by Mr. Short. Superintendent, please call the roll.
Mr. Reed.
Yes.
Mr. Hoover.
Aye.
Mr. Clark.
Aye.
Mr. Short.
Aye.
Mr. Huey.
Aye.
Ms. Gow.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to agenda item 7, special presentations. Superintendent.
Yes, this evening we're very excited to congratulate and honor and recognize our winter season of sport athletes and coaches and their families, and we're so thankful that you're here tonight. We're going to be calling up our athletes by schools, and I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Peter Maroon. These are our female and male athletes that have done an outstanding job in soccer, wrestling, and basketball. Welcome, Mr. Maroon.
And wrestling. President Reed, members of the board, Dr. Collegian, it's my privilege to be here tonight to share with you the outstanding achievements of our winter sports athletes. I think it's tremendous to our community and an attribute to them that all 6 of our soccer teams made the playoffs this year, with Vista del Lago capturing the section championships, and then Folsom and Vista advancing to the NorCal playoffs. So that's an attribute to all of our programs, 3 of our high schools. We're going to take one school at a time because these are large groups. So I'm going to start off with Cordova High School and recognize their girls soccer team for the GSL section championships, as well as advancing to the CIF championships. And if I can have Mr. Hayden, where are you? You're hiding out somewhere. There you are. Come on up. Coach couldn't be here. Yeah, last minute arrangement changes. So we're recognizing the varsity girls soccer team for the Greater Sacramento League champs, as well as the Division II section qualifier. And with that, they had 6 of their athletes as the league, all league players. One of them was the defensive player of the year, and that was Sophia Trujillo. So Mr. Hayden, on behalf of the school district and the school board, congratulations to your team. Thanks, sir. I'm going to have you stay up here because we're going to get everybody up and take a picture one at a time here at different schools. Next team we're going to recognize is the Cordova High School boys varsity soccer team, winning the Greater Sacramento League champs, as well as advancing to Division II section qualifiers. And Coach Eric McCann was recognized as the Coach of the Year for the Greater Sacramento Athletic League. Coach, come on up with your team, please. Go ahead, gentlemen, line up right there next to Mr. Hayden. There was also additional 6 players from the team who were recognized as all league members. One more team from Cordova High School, and this is their wrestling team. They had 7 qualifiers to the section championship and 1 female qualifier to the state championship. As a freshman, she took 6th place on the state as a finisher. So we're looking forward to seeing how she continues with her high school career. But they had a total of 9 also all-league athletes on their wrestling team, and I think the coach wasn't able to make it, but I'm going to give this to Mr. Hayden. And again, congratulations to the Cordova wrestling team for being CIF qualifiers and state qualifiers. Sorry, I didn't realize. Are you Giselle? There's our qualifier. There she is. Can I ask the school board to come down so we can take a picture with the Cordova High students and staff?
I think that works. Okay, so we're gonna do this together here. Let's see, does this, oh.
Can we squeeze them in? I got them in.
Can you?
I got them all in.
I'm gonna go off on this side.
Just this podium,
I know, this podium is in the way.
just the corner of it. I'm gonna squeeze that in. There we go. All right. 1, 2, 3. One more. All right. If we have some parents that want to come up and take pictures, you guys are welcome to do it as well.
Parents, you can come up and get pictures of your kids. You absolutely can. Don't be shy. I know they're being shy. I see some cameras. No, it's okay. Come on up. Come on up. This is important.
Thank you, Cordova High School and Principal Jared and coaches. Next, we're going to recognize our Folsom High School boys and girls soccer teams, both of them who made the section qualifiers this year. Again, a tremendous attribute on their part after a few years of being in COVID and then coming back, and both teams performed really well. I don't know that the coaches are here, but I'm going to ask our district or our athletic director, Lisa Finley, to come up and be recognized on their behalf. Where are you?
Sorry.
So the first one is for the Folsom High boys soccer team, again for the Section 1 qualifiers. And then the second one is for the girls soccer team for being Section 1 qualifiers. They went down to the semifinals and lost in a tough one there, but both teams performed really well. And they also each had student athletes that were recognized. So Lisa, these are for you. Congratulations. Then I'd like to call up the Folsom High School boys basketball team, who are the Sierra Foothill champs, the CIF Division I semifinalist, and the NorCal State Division I qualifiers. Folsom High boys basketball.
Yeah.
In addition, we have the varsity girls basketball team from Folsom High School, who are the Sierra Foothill League champs, as well as the CIF Division I finalist and the NorCal Open Division qualifiers, led by Coach Wolkin and his staff. Come on up, Coach.
There they are.
This is for the team, and this is for the girls that made the All-League. Okay, awesome. Okay, thank you. And last but not least, a consistent performer at every level, our Folsom High School varsity wrestling team with the Division I section champs representing Folsom High School, and as well as the state qualifiers. And that's being represented by Coach Mike Collier and his athletes. Coach, come on up. So with that, this is our Folsom High School girls, boys soccer teams, girls, boys basketball teams, and wrestling teams. Board, I'd like to ask you to come back up one more time for pictures, if you will.
I'm getting grief because I don't have an iPhone.
All right, you want to
Do you
organize
want to
them?
do the parents? Do you guys want to get some pictures? All right.
Tall people in the back.
I know, right?
Never had that problem.
Okay, you guys go ahead first. And we're going to make sure that you guys get your
Okay, opportunity too. Yep.
Thank you, Folsom High. Excellent. And last but certainly not least, we have our Vista Del Lago Eagles being represented tonight. First group is our varsity wrestling team. They are the Capital Athletic League champs, the CIF SJS second place D3 dual champs, and the state qualifiers. And coach had, I believe, 12 athletes who were all league out of 14 varsity members. So Coach Frank Richmond, if you're here, come on up. In addition, girls basketball for Vista Del Lago. They are the Capital Athletic League champs, the CIF Section Division II semifinalist, and CIF State Division II qualifiers, led by Coach Marty Benjamin. Marty, come on up. Ladies, come on up. Then our boys and girls soccer teams from Vista del Lago. First one is the girls soccer team led by Coach Kennedy Congo, who's not able to be here tonight, unfortunately, but they are the Capital Athletic League champs, the CIF Section Division III champs, and the NorCal D2 qualifiers. And I'm going to ask Mrs. Moore to come up and receive this on their behalf. In addition, the varsity soccer team from Vista won the Capital Athletic League champs. They are the CIF Section Division III champs. And by the way, that's rare where you have both the boys and the girls teams from one high school win both section championships. So that's a huge honor. And they were also the NorCal Division III qualifier. So I'm going to ask Ms. Moore to also accept this award. Oh, sorry, board members, come on down, please.
And then I'm wondering if everybody could just like skip like this. My phone doesn't have the wide angle like his. All right. 1, 2, 3. You got it? All right, parent time.
Wait,
Hold
wait.
on.
Because all you guys know, I gotta send them to your mom.
That's right.
Ready? Yeah, you are. Sorry. Okay, ready. Smile pretty for mama.
Thank you, Vista Eagles. And I have one last surprise, so to speak, if I can. President Reed, on behalf of the FYBA, the Folsom Youth Basketball Association, and their president, Sean Lyons, who's here in the house today, they are contributing or donating $9,000 to the 9 elementary schools that they use this year for their FYBA program to thank them for their athletic department. So that's a $9,000 donation from FYBA.
Wow.
Thank you.
Well, that was very generous. Thank you. All right. Let's see. Are there any other presentations, Superintendent?
Yes, this evening we also have a staff presentation that will be highlighted by FCLA, and we welcome Cordova High School ELD program and what they're doing to help our students not only learn English, but work on their social emotional learning skills as well. So we welcome our team from Cordova High School and Ms. Kay Malhai, who's speaking on behalf of FCLA today. Welcome.
Yes, good evening, everybody. My name is Kay Malhai-Huser, and I'm the Vice President of FCLA. And we're continuing with our site presentations this evening, and this evening's showcase is headed by Principal Hayden and his amazing team. So take it away.
Did you cue the music? The smoke, remember we talked about the smoking? No. Okay. President Reed, the board, Dr. Collegian, thank you for having us. I am the very proud principal of Cordova High School, Jared Hayden. I am here on behalf of our amazing staff and our students to present tonight on what we call ELITE, social emotional learning supports for our English language development success. And ELITE is highlighted up there for a specific reason. I believe that there is a very oftentimes underserved, important subgroup of our students here in Folsom, Cordova, and that's our English learners. And Cordova High School prides itself on not only being a diverse school site, but having the highest number of English learners. And not only that, but taking very proactive steps to supporting their English language development, as well as some of their social emotional supports, because we know that our students, while tasked with learning English, attending to their academic outcomes, also come from some of the most difficult places with some of the most challenges that would honestly break most of us. When we learn about these stories, we hear about their struggles. It's amazing that they're even here on our campus and they're able to do with the outcomes that they're able to do. So there's 2 takeaways for tonight. First takeaway is I want to highlight Cordova High and the work that we're doing to support our students. But the second takeaway is all of the folks behind me, because they're oftentimes behind the scenes. They're working day in and day out with our students every class period, before and after school, during lunch. And these are the folks that really deserve our accolades and our honor. So with that said, I'm going to introduce and welcome Miss Erin Kaluza to the podium, and she'll continue with that. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us this evening. Sorry. So I want to introduce our supporting cast, or the main cast as I like to look at them. We have Mr. Francisco. He is our AP over ELA and ELD. Myself, I'm Erin Kaluza, and I am the ELD program monitor at Cordova High School. I don't think they're here, but we have Jennifer Perez from SCOE and our mental health clinician. We have Joanna Knight and Jadria Newby, who is our mental health team. We have Miss Laley, because she doesn't want me to call her by her last name, because everybody knows Miss Laley. Mary, who could not be here. They are our Farsi BIAs. Woo! We have here present Anthony Lacayo Jr. and Luis Acosta Cervantes. They are our Spanish BIAs, and we have a third representative, which is Myra Medina Haro. She used to be our student board member several years ago, but she has returned to Cordova High School to help with translations, and a former student of mine. Luis is very shy. He likes behind the scenes. And then who also couldn't be here this evening, we have Mr. Gracek, and he is our Russian and Armenian BIA. And then finally, our teachers who are with their families, who actually put the main work in, would be Deborah Zwicker-Sober-Pena, Daniel Kozak, and Channing Lugo. Some information about Cordova High School that not many people know. Jared just gave me the look. Our students, while one out of every 6 students is currently classified as an English learner, almost half of our students speak another language other than English. So we have actually 33 languages spoken on our campus as of this year. Cordova High leverages our strength as a diverse school to maintain excellence with our ELD program. Cordova High provides individualized SEL supports for our ELD students aimed at improving language proficiency and in supporting the whole child to improve academic outcomes. I will tell you right now, as a little side, I could not do this without these guys, because we have been meeting one-on-one with all of our families and our students to make connections within the community. Because, to quote Jared, you cannot Maslow before you bloom. So So a lot of our students come to us with intensive needs, and I'm most of the time very happy when they make it to class, and then we get them into the academics and we move forward with their education. So some of our students are coming as refugee students from Hispanic and Eastern European immigrants. Afghanistan, our Afghan refugees are coming to us, obviously, as everybody knows, in September. And a lot of those students are being housed in detention centers all over the United States for several months as they're intaking before they actually land at Cordova High School or in the Folsom Cordova Unified School District. We do also have Central American students. We have now Russian and Ukrainian students. We've had them before, but we're going to see probably an influx of more. And then we have a lot of unaccompanied youth. And we are giving them access to all the materials to learn the English language, to become acquainted with education in the United States, and all the cultural differences to teach and learn different things. So, for example, I learned last week that in Russia they don't require PE. So when a student is not wanting to go to PE here, it's probably because they've never had PE. So It actually takes a village. We have had personalized meetings to find how to assist our students and our parents. They've had individualized campus tours. We've done registration over the last couple of weeks and also made sure that they understood the A to G course requirements and access to any data, access to any materials that they need, whether it's a Chromebook, obviously our district provides that, but if they need papers, pens, pencils, clothing. We do provide a lot of that stuff from Cordova with the help of a lot of people. We have a data-driven approach to targeting placement, and then we have SEL embedded supports, counseling services, and rapport with our dedicated BIA team. There is probably not a student on Cordova's campus that doesn't know that the boot lady is in the library and they can come ask for Miss Lele, Luis, Anthony, Mr. Grachek, or Mary or Myra. With that said, I'm going to introduce Joel because he wanted the data.
Good evening, Dr. Collegian and members of the school board. I'm just the data person. Okay. I'm going to discuss very briefly the ELD program at Cordova High School. So up there on the board, we could see that there is a trend of about 15% average of the total population of students at Cordova High School. And to guide our PLC team as an ELD program, our goal is actually to increase the proficiency levels of all of our limited English proficient students so that they could go to their general education classes faster and meet the state standards. Aside from that, we are guided by our goals for this year. So our goals are our students would be taking who are taking the LPAC will show at least 5% overall growth, which we believe is realistic. And our long-term ELs will increase their proficiency levels by at least 5% as well. Our beginning ELD students, and for this year, starting from August all the way to 3 weeks ago, about 57 of those students actually took the initial LPAC. So our goal for them is to increase their iReady scores by at least 1 grade level at the end of the school year. And I completely forgot, we at Cordova High School, we offer 4 courses of designated ELD on top of their general education English language arts course, as well as for our RFEPs, or the reclassified fluent English proficient and initially fluent English proficient students. We offer an extra language support through our high school designated English program on top of their general education English language arts classes. I'm going to discuss also briefly the growth in our LPAC test scores. It was in the year 2018 when the first LPAC test was administered throughout the state. And in 2018, it was through paper and pen assessment. And the aim is to actually establish the baseline scores for all students in the state of California. For our ELD students, we showed an increase of 13.4% of our students making progress from 2018 to 2019. So from 38.7 making progress in 2019, we move it up to 52.1% making progress. And as you can see, within the 5 years of having this program, from 2016 to 2021, there is a growing trend, and the increase in the ELD population, it also shows that we have increased the reclassification rate of all of our students, and we hope to, to increase it every year. And it is my hope and my team's hope that one day Cordova High School will be the center of excellence in English language development instruction. Thank you. And I will give the microphone back to Principal Hayden.
What Joel also failed to say is that we hit 97% on our LPAC testing completion, which is no small feat. So what do the expanded supports look like? Ms. Kaluza spoke about some of those, but we really want to make sure that you understand through this is it's not just about the language acquisition, although that is the outcome, right? It's about the SEL supports. It's about supporting students and making sure that we truly build community. And so up there, you can see some of the ways that we do that. So what are students doing to meet those ends? Thanks to Dr. Peace and Scott, Kate, a lot of folks, they're supporting us with BASE education. What is BASE? Well, those are modules that students can take that are very prescriptive with the SEL core CASEL competencies, right? And I know, Mr. Hui, you know very well, right? Some of those components are so important to making sure that students can access their curriculum. And so they do that in a very strategic way. And so we're able to attend before school lunch, after school tutoring. We spend almost $40,000 out of our Title I tutoring plan. We have an opportunity course remediation piece that all of that is paid for, very strategic resources through Title I. Aaron Kaluza's position, if you're wondering what is an ELD program monitor, something that Elena and I came up with. We wrote a job description and it was literally to support our EL students. I'd like to see that across the district, right? And we've carved out a little bit more FTE every year to make sure that we're doing that. And so we're really working hard to support these students. And this is a piece of the data that I want to pull out around the SEL. Panorama is a great way to dig in. Our district is utilizing that now to see some of the data. And you can see when I run a filter on just EL or some of our recently redesignated students, it's almost 900, a little over 800 students, about half of our students. You can see the number in terms of SEL and behavior reported strengths, either self-reported by students or our teachers, and you can see those numbers increasing. So we can see that students, and specifically our EL students, are realizing self-efficacy. They're realizing being on track for some of those college and career readiness skills. They're reporting their own strengths in that. And I pulled out specifically around self-management, right, for our Hispanic and Latino students, which is our largest population at Cordova High School. On average, right, they're almost 70% of those students are trending and supporting positive emotional thoughts, self-management regulation pieces, and that is almost 34% higher than our average student population. So it's really, really important to know that, of these lessons and of the CASEL framework, we're really working hard to align those students who come from, like I said, some of the most challenging backgrounds, and we have two students here that are going to share before we wrap up with, all the pieces that they've had to go through to just reach Cordova High School. And this other bullet point, and I'm up here, so I'm going to brag. I hope you're watching, Howard. We have no advisory period. Okay, why that is important is because we are leading the district. Cordova High School is leading the district with the most base modules completed, the highest number of students accessing those modules, the most minutes completing those modules around the SEL framework, and we're not able to do it through an advisory period. So that means that we are doing it during instruction, which is the key to this, right? It doesn't happen separate than the classroom or outside any other component. It happens during the academic instructional time. And so I just have to plug that, Howard, and I want you to know, so that's important. But with that said, you've heard enough about me and our staff and our team, but I want to highlight two students who graciously have joined us tonight. Jasmine's going to be first. Jasmine's going to share with you some more about her story. Thank you.
I'm the victim. I'm first. Good evening. I'm living proof of what they have just stated this evening. My name is Halen Dilcid, and I'm currently a junior at Cordova High School. It is a great pleasure and honor to be sharing about my journey today. I came to the USA when I was about 12 years old, and I immediately enrolled at Mills Middle School. My first year in school here in the US was extremely stressful and frightening because, of course, the language barrier. There was a huge language barrier, and also the scary thoughts of not being able to fit in. I came from Guatemala, which is a country that struggles with providing and sustaining good education to the younger generations. As we all know, Central America is a place where it's just full of poverty and the education is very poor as well. So I came to the U.S. with that goal and with the mindset of being able to succeed in this country and be someone in the future. I never took any English classes, nor did I know one single word in English, which was the part of school that scared me the most, not being able to communicate with others. The ELD program made a huge impact in my life, and it also helped me overcome many of the obstacles that I was dealing with in 6th grade. I believe that this program is able to help anyone, and it gives opportunity to master speaking, writing, listening, and also reading English. And with the determination, it is possible to accomplish. It took me about 6 months to fluently communicate in English. The material that was provided through the ELD program helped me gain confidence and on how to use the language. And personally, I believe this program also took a huge impact in my social skills. Because of this program, I was able to learn English the same year I entered middle school. During my 2nd year in middle school, I was already able to communicate with my teachers, classmates, family, make any translations outside of school for family members and friends. As you can imagine, on my 3rd year in middle school, I had already received a lot of English education, and I was able to receive my education without the need of a translator. I was also granted many awards like medals and just rewards to recognize my efforts in school. Due to my educational efforts, I was being granted many awards for my achievements. That was a great accomplishment, which revealed the linguistic barrier I was scared of was taken down. I was and still am very proud of myself, and I'm also very thankful to the ELD program and my English teachers throughout my middle school and high school years. As I entered my junior year at Cordova High School, English was no longer a struggle. My social skills had greatly improved, and I was able to communicate with anyone I wanted to, and also help others that are struggling with the same language barrier as I struggled with before. The ELD program assisted me with great opportunities, which are definitely making an impact in my life right now. I'm currently enrolled in the IB program at Cordova High School. I'm taking a patient care class, and I've also been able to get involved in many activities and clubs around school. In the future, I plan to immerse myself in the Navy and pursue a career in the medical field. If I did not overcome this linguistic barrier, the amount of opportunities for my future would be very limited. The ELD program at Cordova High School does not only teach students English, but it also opens doors for many students who are determined to succeed in the future. I'm very grateful for the opportunity you have given me to be speaking today in this place, to be able to provide you guys evidence of the ELD program. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Jasmine. I'd like to introduce Wasim.
In the name of God, the most merciful, the most beneficent. Hello, everyone. Great pleasure to be here. My name is Wasim Umaid. I'm an immigrant from Afghanistan. I came here with my family on January 28, 2017. I've been here in the United States for more than 5 years now. The reason we came here was to have a better education and a better life. The education in Afghanistan isn't very good. Right now, they're taking away the right from women to get education, and schools are getting banned for them. It was very difficult in our first 6 months for my family. We didn't have a car. We had to go everywhere by foot, including groceries and all that. When we came here, I didn't speak English at all. My level was A for apple, B for ball. It was really hard to get along with the community and the kids in the neighborhood because I didn't understand a word they were saying. We used to play, and they would tell me so many things, and all I would do, is not in my head because I didn't know what they were saying. I was unfamiliar with the language, community, culture, almost everything. Everything was different. After a few months, I went to school. They put me in 6th grade, only a few months of school was left. And the first day was awful. Everything was completely different, and I was completely lost. After a few weeks, I found a few Afghan classmates, but their situation was similar to mine. After a month and a half, I started understanding my teachers a little bit and my friends. The school ended after a few months, and I even went to summer school just to learn English. There was just too much pressure on me. And then after summer school, 7th grade started. It was awesome because I met a great ELD teacher. His class was really hard at the beginning. I even thought about dropping his class and moving to a lower ELD class. I remember talking to him about it, but he tapped me on my back and told me everything was going to be okay. I learned a lot that year, and not leaving his class was the best choice I made that year. That year I learned one lesson. A human being can learn and do so much in hardship compared to ease. And the best way to learn is to challenge yourself. I had no problems with speaking that year, and I used to be the translator for the new Afghan students. And then 7th grade finished. In 8th grade, my English teacher abandoned me and went to high school, and my... He went to high school for a better job, by the way. In 8th grade, my English didn't improve much. That year, our new English teacher sadly passed away. And the second teacher we got quit on us. And the third teacher didn't have much experience since it was her first year of teaching. Other than that, 8th grade was my favorite year of middle school. In 9th grade, I took 2 honors classes, and I also took regular English for the first time. English got easier, but honors world culture and honors biology, they were hard. I had great teachers, and they helped me through every problem that I came across with love and kindness. I was really grateful for all the great teachers that I had in Cordova and Mills. When COVID-19 started, those were hard times for every single one of us, and everyone struggled at those times. We lost our loved ones. Rest in peace. I never had problems with English anymore. I passed my LPAC test twice. They didn't accept it the first time for some reasons. And got reclassified as a fluent English proficient in 2021. Looking back how I started here as an English language learner, I've come a long way. I'm very grateful for everyone because I can see a bright future ahead of me. Currently, I'm taking IB classes, including Language and Literature, Honors Physics in the University of Knowledge, and my favorite class, Product Innovation and Design. I have a passion for engineering. I still struggle sometimes, like everybody else, but I still have great teachers, and they help me solve anything I come across. And I know one day I'll be successful. I'm here, I am what I am because of the people that are behind me, and I'm really grateful. Thank you very much.
So this concludes our presentation, and I just want to end with this. I know the board and Dr. Kaligian and our staff knows this, but if you're a community member and you're concerned, maybe your student doesn't do so well in English and math, maybe they have some language needs, maybe there's some trauma, some SEL supports that are needed, Cordova High School has a place for you. All right, we will do everything in our power to support you because we have staff like this that care for our students, and we're never going to stop. We may not always get it right, but please trust us if you're considering a placement or a school that you can build community in. Cordova High School is a place. So thank you again, board. I appreciate the time this evening. Thank you to all the guests here.
I have to tell you, what wonderful testimonials from Jasmine and Wasim. Let me tell you, you speak better English than I do. I have been struggling with I like to add way too much. And I noticed that neither of you used the space filler of an so I'm very envious of that. So, is it possible to get a, yeah, there you go. Is it possible to get a photo with the board, with Jasmine and Wasim? Yeah. Okay.
Even though Joel looks
We'll let them get one first.
What an honor to take this picture. Okay, I'll give you 1, 2, 3. I'll take a couple. Okay, and I'm hearing a request that the team join. All right. We may need to double up just a little bit, because I don't think my thumb won't take this wide of a shot. So, we can have our students in front. It's yours. And everybody just maybe kind of, turn angle like this, right? Angle in. Beautiful. There you go. Oh, love it. Wonderful. 1, 2, 3. Okay, you guys get some pictures. I'm gonna get out of the way. You get in there. Don't go, no, get in there. Got it.
And Jared, I appreciate the friendly competition there. All right, is there any other presentations, Superintendent?
Not this evening, thank you.
Okay. All right, then we will be moving to item 8, public comment. Just a reminder that public comment is an opportunity to speak on items that are not agendized on the agenda. If you wish to speak on an item that is on the agenda, wait till that agenda item comes up. So we have some speaking cards here. Okay. And we'll be doing 3 minutes on the clock. Okay. The first speaker will be Rob Thomas.
Good evening, President Reed, board members, Dr. Collegian. What a great night, what an inspiring night. Jasmine and Wasim are just great examples of what we do in the school district. I'm so proud to be a part of it, and I'm sure everyone in this room is proud to be a part of it. So. As you may have noticed, there are quite a few classified employees in the room tonight, and I I'm sure that all of you want to thank them, and all of our management team wants to thank them. I just want to thank all of you for showing up tonight. Every day, you do so many things for our students and for the rest of the staff. You are an essential part of our district. You are essential employees, and you are very much appreciated. I'm sure, based upon the conversations we've had over the last couple of meetings, you know that I'm going to ask you again that we really wish you would take a look at recognizing us as you did the teachers and administrators with one-time money for all the extra effort above and beyond that we've done through the pandemic side by side with our teachers and administrators. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker will be Alyssa Doyle.
Hello again. Almost 2 years ago, we entered into a pandemic where the world hadn't seen anything remotely close to what was happening. We had no plan for schooling outside of the classroom or what many jobs would look like and could. In my own job as a paraeducator, it was extremely difficult to imagine what I or any other paraeducator could do to help our students succeed in a world that was shut down, since a good part of our job requires being able to be there physically for the kids. How could we do physical therapy or help a kid do hand over hand, let alone the questions for when we returned in person? When our kids were returning in October, I should have been with the medically fragile, but was asked to switch classrooms to a higher population of students to meet the needs of those returning in person. I did what I could to help, but was faced with the idea of how to do my job while maintaining 6 feet. Let's be honest, I couldn't. Every single day, I took the risk so I could assist the kids in their needs, and I wasn't the only one. We kept as much space as we could, but that wasn't always possible. During August of 2020, when staff was asked to help with distribution of Chromebooks and other supplies for classes, I volunteered, wanting to do my part. When I looked around, I seen admin, I seen a few teachers, but it was mostly the classified staff out there. When it came time to distribute at other sites, it was also the classified staff that was on the front line exposing themselves to the parents so the kids could have the materials they needed. Every day that I have had kids in person, there's no way for me to do my job without being within 6 feet. In the middle of this pandemic, if that is not considered extraordinary working conditions due to the ongoing pandemic, then I don't know what else would be. I ask you as board members to consider these factors as you make a decision as to who else should get a bonus for working during this pandemic. To choose not to award some staff and yet reward others sends the wrong message to retain your dedicated staff that has stood by during this pandemic. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next speaker is Roger Lundberg.
Board, Dr. Clegan, Sean, Don. I just want to, I'm part of the transportation department. I'm probably one of the oldest members of the Folsom Cordova Unified family. So, I'm 76, I still love my job, and I'm not going anywhere. So, I just want to bring up the fact that we do feel that we're essential. I drive a school bus, so I see kids this far from me, here, when they're scanning their bus passes. And we did this all the way through the pandemic for our special needs kids. When we weren't working, I was in the library staff at Mitchell, so for my 6.5 hours a day. But my point is that I feel that we are essential. I feel that we deserve and the same stipend is what it was called in the memo, and of the $2,500 for the 5 hours or more and the 4 under for $1,250. My point on that is that we show up every day if it weren't for me, I'm the first person the kids see and the last person they see in the district, okay, on my school bus and on everybody else's school bus. But we've got our IAs out there who are, changing diapers, which would never happen in my realm, my duties. But, that was somebody else's job in my family. So, but anyway, I just want to say that we appreciate you guys, and we hope that you appreciate us. And my plea is to get the same stipend that our teachers and administrators got. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker will be Michelle Wessel.
Good evening. My name is Michelle Wessels, and I'd like to thank you for this opportunity to speak to you. It's my first time up here. Okay, I'm a substitute teacher for our district. When the pandemic began, I was committed to a long-term assignment at Mitchell Middle in the medically fragile classroom. I was able to sub for teachers during the distant learning period, and I also committed to a long-term proctor assignment at Mitchell when the special education students returned to campus. This year, I was offered the long-term assignment in the medically fragile classroom at Cordova High School. I accepted the assignment only because I was able to do it at Mitchell, and I had a great team of instructional aides that helped me learn all the needs of these medically fragile kids. Sorry, that was out of my thing. Okay. Okay, I accepted the assignment and will be completing the school year with my students because of my great team who went to that to keep me in that classroom for the kids so that they can have some consistency. Sorry. I'm this one. Okay, I have been fulfilling the duties of a full-time teacher at the request of administration due to staffing shortages. My duties in a specialized field include working with service providers, overseeing for instructional aides and paraprofessionals, preparing materials, lesson plans, and participating in IEP meetings. These duties go above and beyond what is expected from a substitute teacher, and in my opinion, according to the spirit of this bonus, I feel that I deserve it just as much as anybody else.
Thank you. The next speaker will be O'Mara Johnson.
Good evening, Board. I'm O'Mara Johnson, CSEA Vice President, Union Steward, and Gopher. I would like to first of all say congratulations to the teachers and administration for what they are receiving. I would also like to say thank you to Cordova High and the students. Without the support of the classified person, I know the teacher works very hard. Don't get me wrong. But without the support of those classified persons, the teacher can be free to do what she needs to do. And that is where our success comes in with our students. With our students. I don't know anyone, any classified person that doesn't go into work every day thinking about our children. We cry over them, we buy food, we buy clothes, we buy shoes. We work through pandemics and we smile. Clerical, front office, we were there long before the teachers got there, whether it was in person or not. We started long before they got there. I do believe our classified people need the acknowledgement, the same acknowledgement that our teaching and administrators. We have worked and smiled and took on jobs far above what we ever thought we would be doing. We took on custodial jobs. We took on library jobs. We took on anything anyone asked us, and we're still doing it today. My custodian can't get what she needs done, all she's got to do is say, Omera, I need help. I'm gone. I'm not too good to clean a toilet. I'm not too good to wipe up a spill. Because my children's safety is the first. I have a 6-year-old granddaughter in this district, and I'm so proud of her teachers for what they've done for her. But I'm also proud of what the aides that go into that classroom every day to support what she's learning do for my granddaughter. I hope you recognize this, and I hope and pray that you will realize we are just as valuable as anyone else. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Brianna Malone.
Good evening. I work at Cordova High School. This is my first time working at a school site and in the district. It's been quite the experience for me, being here at kind of the tail end of everything that's been going on with the pandemic. I've repeatedly had admin, teachers, everybody top to bottom kind of tell me, hey, you're here at a pretty unique time. And getting to the near end of the school year, I understand what they're saying. But being in the office is kind of the nucleus of the campus, because I do get to interact in different ways with teachers, with admin, IAs, BIAs, parents, students. You kind of get it all being in the office. And I'm thankful for the job that I have. I'm thankful for the teachers and the admin that we have. Never having worked in a school before, I have an even greater appreciation than I already did for what everybody does, whether you're a janitor, an IA, a teacher, principal, AP, whoever you are at the school. Thank you guys. Thank all of you. But I'm speaking up here because if there is an opportunity to do more than just give the verbal accolades to the classified staff, I really hope that you guys are willing to do that. That was the main reason I wanted to come up here. So please take into consideration what I and others have said and will be saying as we go forward. So thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Patricia Hughes.
Hello again. My name is Patricia, and I've worked at a local preschool for almost 7 years now. I wanted to start off my message by saying thank you for putting our children's health and well-being first by letting masks be optional for the students. On March 14th, I, as an educator, cried tears of joy because my children in my classroom would finally be able to see my smile and my facial expressions in almost 2 years. It's surreal how much is lost through communication when we can only see someone's eyes, especially for my young toddlers who are just learning the most important developmental milestones in life. But of course, the fight is not over yet. I hope you are all familiar with SB 871, which will require all children 0 to 17 years of age to get the COVID vaccine in order to attend any daycare, public or private school with no exemptions. This is in violation of California Health and Safety Code 24172J, which states experimental subjects will be given the opportunity to decide to consent or not to consent to a medical experiment without the intervention of any element of force, fraud, deceit, duress, coercion, or undue influence on the subject's decision. These vaccines are still experimental, and the long-term effects on how they could hurt our children later down the road is still unknown. How could this board justify the safety of our youth when, according to the CDC, children 0 to 17 years of age have a 99.997% survival rate? Therefore, this threat to our children is almost non-existent. As a reminder, we are pro-vaccine, but we are anti-mandate, which means that we want medical decisions to be left to the parents of the children who attend any preschool, public or private school. Therefore, medical decisions should not be decided by the government, teachers, school board members, or the teachers' union. Lastly, what I would like to see from this school board is either a statement or a resolution in support of choice for the COVID vaccine requirements for families, students, and staff, as well as to oppose SB 871. Ontario Montclair USD has already released a statement for this concern, in addition to San Bernardino BOS, who has created a resolution. If they can do it, so can we. Please put the children's well-being first while giving us a choice. That's all we ask. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you. The next speaker is Justin Hughes.
Good evening, everyone. For 2 years now, we've been told to trust the science for every issue. COVID is a disease, so obviously we should trust the Center for Disease Control, which is the highest authority in regards to the science on epidemiology. Let's go to the director of the CDC, Rochelle Walensky. In a segment on CNN with Wolf Blitzer in January of 2022, Walensky stated in regards to the vaccines and the new variants, quote, "What they can't do anymore is prevent transmission." Then let's go to Google or the CDC website, and you will see that the peak of COVID infections came at the peak of vaccinations this winter. The infections came at the peak. The Delta wave had a peak of 240,000 cases per day with minimal vaccinations across the country. The Omicron wave had a peak of 800,000 cases per day, with nearly 65% of the country being fully vaccinated, with 76% having at least one dose. Yes, the vaccine works in reducing the likelihood of severe illness and hospitalization for you. It does not stop you from spreading it, and that is per the data, per the director of the CDC. And per the experience of now millions of Americans who are fully vaccinated and spread it to their friends and families. This is purely theater on behalf of Big Pharma's stock price. You can show your vaccine card, enter a room, and easily spread COVID to everyone in there. The only thing this mandate will do is get good people fired and segregate groups of Americans based on medications that don't protect the public anyway, per the CDC. COVID is endemic now, and our body's natural immunity is taking over, with the CDC estimating 73% of Americans being naturally immune to Omicron. Recommend the vaccines. Hell, I'll help you. But end the mandates. Follow the science. And finally, everyone that works for a living is essential. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you. The next speaker will be Dina DePreto.
Hello again.
Welcome.
It's very nice to see all of your faces. First, I want to echo what my friends Justin and Patty said about SB 871 and the business that is to come, that we know is coming. But I have an issue that I have right now. I came to the last meeting and I brought a concern to all of you, and I didn't receive any response at all. This is in regards to what I believe is a harassment policy that you guys have currently in your school, according to the staff, allowing the staff to speak freely about their personal beliefs, their political beliefs, their personal opinions regarding vaccines, masks, medical advice, you name it. They have free and open ability to do so because of the letter that was sent from Angela advising that that is something that's allowed. Just this past week, as an example, I have 2 children in the district. One of my children came home and told me that their teacher told them that they were all parrots because they just repeat the stupid things their parents tell them. These kinds of harassment and degradation are unacceptable. The definition of harassment is persistent attacks and criticism causing worry and distress. My children are distressed. All the children are distressed. We need to just let this go. Let this die. We all know the recommendations. We all see the signs when we walk up to the school. We got it. It's unacceptable to continue then to berate the children on this. So I am asking for a resolution or a statement from the board to hold the teachers accountable to stop. Just stop. We don't need to impose personal beliefs, political opinions, medical advice, who they are not doctors or nurses, or any other criticism to people's personal choice. Wear a mask, don't wear a mask. Want the vaccine, go get one. Don't, it's fine too. It shouldn't be a topic in our schools. We should be having education conversations only and not wasting the precious time that we've already lost over the last 2 years talking about this anymore. So please do something. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Brenda Bessel.
I'll take it. Good evening. Hi. Oh, I'm loud. That'd be my teacher voice. My name is Brenda Bessel. In 2004, all 4 of my kids were finally in elementary school at Cordova Lane, and so I became a yard supervisor. Basically, just to be on the same schedule as my kids, to make a few bucks, and just a few bucks, right? But also, you know, I found it to be a fun part-time job that I took quite seriously, as the physical safety of our students is, in my opinion, first and foremost. And I know all you yard supervisors out there, right? Okay. So a few years into it, I felt a connection to the SPED student body, so I took a few college courses on my own to better my knowledge of autism and other SPED-related behavior intervention practices. I then became an instructional assistant in 2009, and I cannot express in words the love and respect and appreciation I have for this job, this school district, my coworkers over the years. A lot of you are here. And over these past 18 years, my husband has continued to insist that I need a better paying job, and I continue to insist that I'd be miserable if I did anything else, and he would rather see me a happy wife, so I win. Let's see, and I'm currently a dedicated, responsible, classified SPED employee at Ranch Cordova Elementary. I arrive to work every day at least 20 minutes early just because I want to be there. It's not a lie. I often stay after dismissal to clean up a little extra in our classroom, or I can occasionally be found out front after dismissal on a Friday, dancing with the students who are brave enough to dance with an old lady. Well, not real old, but you know what I'm saying, older than them. So my days are fun and surrounded by kids, and most of the time laughter. I read a phrase on this flyer this evening that said, bring your stories of how you went above and beyond during the pandemic. And I believe that most of us are here today because we feel that we go above and beyond every single day of every single year, and not just during a pandemic. That being said, it's nice that you recognize our certificated staff for their sacrifices and services through the pandemic. And I cannot speak for all instructional assistants, but I know in my class, from my lead teacher, Mrs. Caitlin Sarah, we, the aides, were given assignments and lessons to teach. We were responsible for recording videos, posting videos, some of us barely knowing how to copy and paste. Okay. It was challenging. We were helping to teach live daily. We were helping prep packets weekly. We were working live one-on-one with students in breakout rooms and other various duties. We did our jobs no matter how disconnected we felt or how stressed out we may have been over the whole experience of being in an actual pandemic. We did all of that because we care. We did all of that because our very qualified and talented SPED teachers, gen ed teachers, they couldn't do it by themselves. It's nice that you're able to assign and disperse a monetary value to certificated staff who are human beings that I respect. However, we are all human beings. I believe that all classified staff should be rewarded the same when it comes to providing safe and healthy environments for our students. Am I done?
Yes.
Oh. Okay, well, go round.
Thank you. And we have I see 3 people online wishing to speak. Please state your name prior to starting your comments, please.
First one is Marina.
Hello, this is Marina Gable.
Welcome.
I am just, first I want to say thank you to our classified staff that are there and supporting us and fighting for our stipend. Thank you guys. Woohoo! Yay! I also wanted to say thank you to Patty, Justin, and Dina for speaking up on behalf of our kids and staff and teachers, etc. I was just kind of concerned. I saw an email put out, I think it was a day ago, saying that there's a free COVID clinic at the Cordova Meadows Elementary, partnership with UC Davis, offering a series of free COVID vaccine clinics. That's not my concern. My concern is when it says you will receive a $25 gift card for those receiving your first or second dose. To me, this is considered coercion, and it scares me because there are children that are over the age of 12 that can now consent to shots. And you probably heard this on the news. There was a child who got a slice of pizza and got a shot without his parents knowing. It's very disturbing. It's very disturbing. And people that are healthy that are getting shots, athletes, you can call this misinformation if you want to, but it's happening out there with the myocarditis. And there was a sign posted in a Virginia pediatrics office to student athletes: COVID vaccinations affect your heart. If you receive doses of any COVID shots, we will not clear you without lab work. Sudden cardiac death can happen. I just want people to educate themselves and consider what could happen. It's Russian roulette. If you're healthy, do you really need the shot? It should be a personal decision. Thank you.
Next, we have Debbie.
Welcome, Debbie.
Hi, Dr. Clegan, board. Thank you tonight for welcoming us all here. My name is Debbie Krikorian. I'm FCEA Executive Officer. I'm calling in tonight in support of the CSEA. Our FCEA brothers and sisters realize that our classified brothers and sisters have worked above and beyond what has been called for them during this pandemic. We also realize that they have received MOU and a settlement for increased salary. But we also believe that the increased salary isn't keeping up with the industry, and that our classified people are working well below the industry, and that's obvious by the amount of people that we need to rehire every year. And the fact that we have a hard time finding our classified people because they do not have full-time benefits and full-time positions. So in order to keep doing our job as teachers and as certificated staff, we need our partners. We need our classified, we need our administration, and we all need to recognize that we're all valuable in this district. So we support you, the classified, and we want the board to know this. Thank you.
Next, we have Rachel.
Welcome, Rachel.
Hi, good evening. I'm commenting to follow up on a letter that I distributed earlier to the board and Superintendent Collegian regarding the disparate treatment of students at Theodore Judah Elementary and throughout the district. And I just want to make sure that the district is aware. I reside in the Theodore Judah Elementary School District, and I have two children who go to school there. As you know, this school hosts two different student populations: the academy, which draws students from throughout the district, and then the neighborhood students who live in the district. On March 11th, my fifth grader came home very upset. This is why. She and the rest of her class went outside to take a class picture, and they saw what appeared to be students from both fifth grade academy classes boarding the school buses. The students asked where they were going, and the answer was to Sly Park. My daughter's class was not invited. In fact, they haven't been invited on any field trips this year. Indeed, it appears that the students that they've had me got to go and nobody else did, despite the fact that all fifth graders have gotten to go to Sly Park in the past. Indeed, I note that the board's agenda reflects that it's authorizing approval for fifth graders to go to Sly Park next year. The explanation given by the principal, who is the fourth principal in the 6 years that my fifth graders attended school here, was that this trip was planned back in November, apparently because the class could be grouped in a cohort. And he stated that this would not happen again. Unfortunately, this is not enough, and it's certainly not enough for this year's fifth graders who've already been harmed. As detailed in my letter, this isn't the only instance where I've seen unequal treatment of students at Theodore Judah. I want to be assured that the district is taking this seriously. I've gotten a response from the board member in my district indicating that he will discuss it with the superintendent, which is great. But that's it. There's nothing else to reflect that any action has been or will be taken by the district in response to these concerns. I'm aware of the extraordinary difficulty in managing a campus with two different student populations, but unequal treatment of students is unacceptable. All students, all fifth graders should get the opportunity. Why did one group of fifth graders get an opportunity that has historically been extended to all students and the rest didn't? How did the district employees let this happen, and what's the district going to do about it? I look forward to an answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other online? No. All right. I have one more speaker that's going to be coming up. Welcome back, Sarah.
Good evening, President Reed and board members. It is nice to be back here among some familiar faces, so thank you for giving me a few minutes of your time. Tonight was the annual award ceremony for the Folsom Chamber of Commerce, and I had the privilege of presenting the Educator of the Year award. Unfortunately, because they changed the format this year, it's been a luncheon. In past years, this year it was an evening reception. The recipient of this award could not be there because she is at your board meeting. And although Mr. Collegian did an excellent job accepting the award on her behalf, it just seemed right that I come here and present this myself. So without further ado, the Educator of the Year Award celebrates Folsom's tradition of educational excellence from kindergarten through community college and honors the outstanding teachers, coaches, administrators, support staff, and other leaders who are the heart and soul of some amazing academic programs and co-curricular activities. 5 years ago this month, my school board colleagues and I, including Mr. Clark, Mr. Short, began a nationwide search for the next superintendent of Folsom Cordova. Retired board member Teresa Stanley offered some friendly advice at the time. She said, "You won't find someone who is an expert in everything: academics, finances, human resources, labor negotiations, etc. So figure out what quality is the most important and hire for that." There was no doubt as to which quality the board and staff most wanted in a new superintendent and what students most needed. We wanted, needed, and hired an educator. Dr. Sarah Collegian began her career in education as a resource teacher supporting English learners. As the mother of 4 children, she knows that students learn in different ways and at their own pace. In her almost 5 years as our superintendent, Dr. Collegian has tirelessly advocated for the needs of the whole child. She models her commitment to lifelong learning by leading summer book studies with district staff and encouraging a growth mindset. She honors the work of those in the trenches and shows her genuine love for students by making school site visits a priority. By naming her as the 2021 California Superintendent of the Year, the Association of California School Administrators only confirmed what the communities of Folsom, Mather, and Rancho Cordova have known all along. Sarah Collegian is an educator in every sense of the word. So on behalf of the Folsom Chamber of Commerce and SMUD, who sponsor this award, it is my pleasure to present the 2022 Educator of the Year Award to Dr. Sarah Collegian. Yeah.
It's good to see you, Sarah. And congratulations, Superintendent.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Love you.
All right, we are now moving on to agenda item 9, reports of district organizations. First up is Student Advisory Board.
Thank you and good evening. I'm happy to announce that our petition to get a second student board member has exceeded the necessary 500 signatures. So I'm looking forward to our SAB election for 2 board members, hopefully, coming up. And that election will take place at our Student Advisory Board banquet, where we'll be reflecting on this past year and hearing and electing our candidates. The banquet will take place here on Friday, May 13th at 4 p.m. So I hope to see our board members there. And additionally, we have our student forum coming up on April 20th at 4:30 via Zoom. In preparation for this forum, we've released a survey to capture the feelings of FCUSD students in regards to curriculum, safety, instruction, and more, which can be found on our SAB page on the FCUSD website. Our next SAB meeting will be Wednesday, April 20th at 10 a.m. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we make sure that we, Martha, if you can do like a calendar invite for those board members who are interested in attending that day? When was it? Not the SAB, but the prior one?
For banquet?
Yeah.
Friday, May 13th at 4 p.m. in here.
We'll send both dates. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Board Member Gao. Next is the California School Employees Association.
President Reed, board members, Dr. Collegian. First, I just want to say congratulations again on another award, Dr. Collegian. You're amazing. So that's great. And I also wanted to express my appreciation to Deb Kokorian, who expressed her support for classified staff tonight. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Next, Folsom Cordova Education Association.
Good evening. Take this off to speak. Congratulations, Dr. Collegian. That was a lovely surprise tonight.
This is a surprise.
A pleasant one. Well, I just wanted to say on behalf of FCEA, in the past couple of years, CSEA and FCEA have begun to advocate directly for the unique needs of their members through the negotiation process. This has resulted in different settlements for both bargaining units that directly benefit the very specific needs of the members in each unit. Our members have vastly different job descriptions, work days, and salary schedules. I believe the recent agreements have addressed those differences in a very beneficial way to both units. While there's some areas that should be addressed differently, there are times when both units need to receive the same benefits and compensation. The whole FCUSD team pulled together throughout COVID to keep our schools open and running smoothly. While FCEA and FCLA received the supplemental COVID pay to address the extra workload that was taken on, CSEA did not. Our CSEA staff is the backbone of our system. From bus drivers to IAs to custodians and more, I know there's tons of job descriptions, they provide endless support to our students each day. They make it easier in so many ways for our teachers to effectively do their jobs. They deserve the same recognition and compensation that was received by the other employee groups. I know our teachers felt respected by the recognition that they have gone above and beyond in their job. What must our colleagues be feeling not to receive equal compensation? And what does that do for their morale? Please show that you value them equally and provide the same supplemental compensation that was received by FCEA and FCLA. As an association, FCEA fully supports our CSEA family in their requests. Thank you.
Thank you. Next organization is the Folsom Cordova Leadership Association.
And they presented earlier this evening.
That is true. Okay. And finally, the District English Learner Advisory Committee.
Good evening, Dr. Kaligian, President Board Reed, and members of the board, esteemed colleagues, and congratulations again, Sarah. Fantastic. I do have a couple of updates today for DLAC. We did meet last Tuesday, the 15th, and just reviewed some of the LCAP input and some other upcoming events. So as a reminder, on April 2nd, we will be holding our third and final Parent Summit for the school year, and it will be in person at Cordova Lane Center from 8:30 to 10:30. We will be featuring an education equity and with a focus on literacy. And I'm excited to highlight the fact that Sasha Kinney, our district librarian, will be presenting our library services and opportunities that we have available in our district, our growth as we, pull pennies together and support our supporting our libraries with not only representational books and updated textbooks, but support services in SEL, stories that support and connect students with positive, behaviors and also multicultural experiences. So we're excited to see that. In addition to partnering with our own district librarian, we'll also be seeing, I believe, our Rancho Cordova Library represented, as well as Kiwanis Book Buddies will be featured, and we'll be having some book giveaways that day. So we look forward to seeing you on Saturday, April 2nd, from 8:30 to 10:30 at Cordova Lane Center. And I also wanted to take the opportunity, DLAC, as you know, is the District English Learner Advisory Committee. And what that is comprised of the site's English Learner Advisory Committees, which are largely the parents of English learners, and certainly the staff that supports the English learners. And I couldn't be more proud and touched by what we heard today by our students. And I have to tell you, we have 2,533 English learners in our district, and they are vastly represented in many languages and many experiences. And I am so proud of the work that our teachers do, our ELD teachers, deeply proud of the support that we get from principals like Mr. Jared Hayden, Michelle Brown, our assistant principals. I know I saw Joel Francisco, and these are the folks that also we rely on. All of our folks are principals throughout the district. Michelle, having been an ELD teacher and now an assistant, we're so proud to work with them. It's not easy work. And I can tell you that the parents are informed as they can be, and always have a lot of questions, and we do our best to respond, and it does take the village. I'm going to quote your slide. But anyway, I just wanted to express our pride. We know that we're a work in progress, and I wanted to highlight some of our successes in DLAC that we do celebrate on a monthly basis. And one of them is our reclassification rate as a district. This is what we aim for. Obviously, graduation, college, and success in life is really what we're aiming for. But along the way, English learners want to reclassify, which means they want to become fluent English readers, writers, and speakers, and successful in the academia. So just in looking at the current year, just to give you perspective, our reclassification rates in 2019, 2020 were 215. It's a lot of students that reclassify. That's a lot of teachers and bilingual aides and other staff that support these students, as well as their families. In 2020, 2021, you might remember that year, a little rough, right? We had 176 students reclassify. Okay. But hold on. And we monitor this closely. As of last Tuesday, we hit the record for our district. We had 312 students reclassify. So sometimes in all of the work that we do and all of the concerns that we pay attention to, I was reminded that we also need to recognize and celebrate our students. They are celebrated at their sites, and their parents are deeply proud. And DLAC is extremely proud as the parents and the students and seeing their progress. So thank you for your time, and that's our report today.
Thank you. All right, moving on to agenda item 10, agenda consent.
President, I would
yes.
move it with pulling one item C, if the board would contemplate.
I think we also have another 2 items coming off too.
Yeah, I'd like to remove items I and H.
Mr. President?
Yes.
I also like to request to pull item J.
Oh, look at us tonight.
I'll move.
All right, so
There goes a short meeting.
So the motion is to approve consent except for items C, H, I, and J. All right. And that motion is from Mr. Short?
Yes.
And the second from Mr. Hoover. Okay. Superintendent, will you call the roll?
Yes. Mr. Reed?
Aye.
Mr. Hoover?
Aye.
Mr. Clark?
Aye.
Mr. Hui?
Aye.
And Mr. Short?
Aye.
And Ms. Gow?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
All right, so we will start with, actually, you have an announcement, I believe you would like to make.
Did we want to do it at this point?
Yeah, why not?
Okay,
Yeah.
sure. One of the items you did approve tonight on the consent agenda is the approval of a new assistant principal for Cordova High School, Ms. Michelle Cooper, and I see her here with her family. Congratulations. Ms. Cooper. Very excited that she is officially on board in this capacity. She started as an English language arts teacher and quickly moved to the role of an academic coach at Cordova High School. And for the past few years, she's been focused on staff professional development, WASP coordination, leading professional learning communities. And during the 2021 school year, she was part of the expert team for Folsom, Cordova, also providing district-wide professional development. She is a strong believer in the school community and has a true passion for working with our Cordova students. This year, she has welcomed her own children as freshman Lancers, transferring them from out of a district to take advantage of the amazing programs at Cordova High School. So, Mrs. Cooper, we're just very thrilled to have you on board in this capacity, and we thank your family for being here and supporting you and letting us share her in the role of assistant principal. Congratulations.
Congratulations. All right, let's get to the items we pulled off. Item C.
Oh, thank you, President. Item C is the approval agreement with the School Innovations Achievement. I want to put it in context. I'm in support of the contract, don't get me wrong, but I did attend the industry, well, not industry, but the attendance task force just last week with everybody. It was very enlightening, very scary. I don't know if the board realized 1% of attendance is around $2 million or so in revenue for the district. I know we looked at data from the past. The trends were already going prior to COVID, and then now we're approximately looking at really large numbers and attendance. So with that said, I think when that'll become forthcoming with the task force later with our report, Scott and Dr. Pease, I appreciate all their efforts in this, but it's really important that we get a handle on their attendance. Later on, we'll probably talk about. But with this contract, I just had a couple of questions for staff in regards to, it's a 3-year term, my understanding. Really, if we're going to be talking in the next 2 years about attendance, and there's going to be new type of campaigns, new type of intervention types, new type of things, I'm just wondering if we have the flexibility in this contract, or if we can. I know the contract's pretty standardized. There is no campaign agreement. It's at a zero cost. I know there's an escalator amount to pay for more in there for 5% and above. So I know there's going to be more costs. I'm just hoping that we budget for something like that for the task force, because there's going to be some different kind of, I believe, different kind of innovative ways of doing things that are going to be involved with this program. It doesn't allow any coding or amendments to change. It's just kind of a I understand it's a web-based robot. You log on, and traditionally this information that's gone there, what I'm concerned about, it says it's supposed to help for attendance. And when I saw the data, it was already on decline prior to that. And then COVID, of course, it went worse for certain subgroups. So I'm thinking we're going to probably have type of intervention types, different mailings, specific campaigns, and different type of specialized reports that the task force may need. I just want to be able to message that maybe we need some flexibility in this contract. If not, then maybe we have a separate program out there or another vendor that might provide something that might facilitate the task force. So that's all I wanted to bring up, and hopefully maybe we can, innovate something a little more flexible than this contract.
We're working on the LCAP process right now. We're working the writing process, and I think what we can do there is, this item is part of the LCAP. It's being supplemental dollars. We can look at allocating some additional resources of supplemental dollars for those pieces that you're speaking to.
Right, okay, great.
Great, thank you.
Thank you very much, that's it.
Okay, do we have a motion on item C?
Yeah, I'll move it.
A motion by Mr. Short.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Hoover. Superintendent?
Mr. Reed?
Aye.
Mr. Hoover?
Aye.
Mr. Clark?
Aye.
Mr. Short?
Aye.
Mr. Hui?
Aye.
Ms. Gao?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
Okay, next one is item H. Who pulled that one?
I pulled H and I. Would you like?
You want to do them together?
Yeah, if we can do them together, that's
Okay,
great.
all right.
Do you want me to ask questions, or do you want somebody to?
Superintendent, do you want to introduce the items?
Sure. Both of these items are authorizing the use of a CMAS bid to redo the surface of the tracks at both Cordova High School and Folsom High School. Cordova High's is resurfacing of the track, and Folsom High's is more extensive. It's replacing and then resurfacing. So I'll ask Mr. Washburn to come on up and answer any specific questions.
Great, yeah, I just have a few questions. First is, I believe we're paying for this with the funding that we get from the cell towers.
Correct.
And how much total funding do we get annually from the?
We get $150,000 a year funding from Folsom and $106,000 a year in Cordova from the cell tower funds.
So $256,000 altogether.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And is the funding that we get from those cell towers, is that up to the discretion of the district or the board where we spend that money?
I know years ago, when we first put in our synthetic turf field, one of the concerns was being able to have a sinking fund or something to replace those fields at such time. I know a lot of districts I've talked to, that's a big concern they have, because your back then it was $500,000, could be $750,000 up to $1 million to replace a field. One-time hit to general fund or whatever fund you may have. So the idea at that time was to use cell tower money, putting it into our capital facilities account, and be able to set that aside specifically for that. And the timing of the cell tower money usually worked out to when we need to replace the fields, 10, 12, 13 years, whenever, and tracks as necessary. They're usually a longer span. And so far that's worked out well. We started utilizing that from early 2000s, and for 20 years that's been primarily the funding source to replace those.
Yeah, is it more or less kind of equal what's coming in from the cell towers?
I would say so, because I would always go to Rhonda and say, Rhonda, I got a field coming up. How much money do I have coming in? Do I have enough? And then, I calculate how many years I have to go. How much money I have coming in, how much I have per year. And now Sean and I work together on that as well. And so determine, okay, how much I'm gonna have to do the tracks. I got fields coming up for years. Am I gonna have to do that based on the income we have coming in? And so far, yeah, I think it's pretty much evened out.
Okay. One other question about that funding source, and then just a couple about the tracks themselves. Do you know, or Sean, maybe you know, how much money we have in that fund currently?
I don't, but I can get it for you.
Okay, that'd be great. Yeah. And then I know these are two separate items. One's for a track resurface, I believe, at Cordova, and then one is for a little bit more work than that, it sounded like, at Folsom High.
Correct.
My understanding is the tracks came in at the same time. What's the discrepancy in the price and the work that's being done?
So actually, Folsom High's is a little bit newer as far as replacement. Back when they was put in 2003, Folsom High, it was a faulty product and it was replaced again in 2007. The manufacturer of the track at that time, they had issues with the binding agent that binds the track to the asphalt surface. We got a free track, got a few more years out of it. Since that time, that product is no longer being used. We did get 15, 17 years out of it. So that is good, although it is delaminating, it's coming up. The top is flaking. I have examples here to show you. This is the current track we have. So this black portion adheres down to the asphalt. This part is delaminating and coming up, and the whole track is basically, you can lift it up in portions. This top part is also flaking, cracking, showing signs of wear. When this shows signs of wear and cracking, that can leak down into the black matte underlayment part, and then that can affect the wear or tear of that. So this is what we're replacing, and we're actually replacing it with a new product, which you can see is actually as more thicker material up here. It's an improved product. We should get a longer use out of this one. Goes down into the sub base further, so you'll have less time on this one. At Cordova High, this product is still fine. It's adhering. This part is cracking and is allowing water to penetrate in. So what they do is they grind this down, put a new surface on, and that'll protect the underlayment, and that'll last hopefully for many more years.
Okay, great. Yeah, I appreciate that explanation. Last thing with the tracks was Vista del Lago. When is their track, do you think, is going to be due for the same thing?
Vista del Lago, since we did the modernization in 2016 when we did the stadium project, a lot of that track had to be tore up because we had to put a water line down the visitor side. So a lot of that was replaced in certain sections. The whole track wasn't replaced because it was pretty new. It was only put in 2006-07. So what we did is we resurfaced the whole thing to make it look the same as the new track. So basically that was resurfaced in 2016. We should be pretty good on that for quite a while.
Hopefully another 5+ years.
Yeah, at least.
Okay, great. Yeah, I appreciate the explanation. I thought it was important to pull these because we were talking about $1 million on these two tracks. And especially with the funding source, Mr. Martin, if that is some information you can provide to the board at some point, if there is some extra money there, I'd love to know what that is and if we can be utilizing that in other places, particularly after we heard, all the information that we've heard tonight from Cordova High regarding our English learners. I mean, I would love to be able to spend every dollar we can as best as we can. So sounds like that pretty much matches what we need for our track and fields, and we have to replace them, it sounds like.
And I planned it for the replacement of the fields coming up, so
Yeah.
we're right at the limit we'll need to be able to replace some of these fields in a few years as
Perfect. Yeah, well, that's great. If there's no other questions, I'll move that we approve.
Just one quick question. I mean, if this goes through, what's the timeline of getting this completed? Would it interfere with any other sports activities, i.e. maybe football, coming up over the summer? Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm a big sports person, but I just need to know. I mean, especially at Cordova and Folsom, if it will disrupt anything there.
No, absolutely. That's the first thing we do is we coordinate with the schools, we coordinate with the company on timelines. The sites work with it. The sites are very excited actually to get replacements, so they'll do what they can to work around it. But the idea is to have this done during the summer to avoid any programs. There may be some summer programs that have to be relocated during this time frame, the month or so when this is going in. Okay. But we don't anticipate any eruptions in the sports program.
Okay, and I don't think we'll have any inclement weather either, so I think we'll be okay with that.
Yeah, it's ironic because when this product went on at Folsom High, it was right before football season, and you can't spray this on if there's more than 5 mile per hour wind. We actually had to construct a wind barrier, and we had like 20 people go along and in front of it. With this product, that's not a problem. So we're kind of weatherproof against that one. So that's a good thing.
Okay, and then maybe you can answer this for me. I think Mr. Huey brought this up about or maybe you didn't, the football field at Folsom. What condition is that in, and are we looking at changing that anytime soon?
We figure we have about 3 or 4 more years on that field. It's in good condition. We just had GMAX tests done, which is basically the amount of pressure coming down and the bounceability back for a safety factor on, how much softness you have, but still maintaining firmness for playability. And we just had all the fields, both, they were some are raked and refreshed and everything else. So I think we have at least 3 or 4 years on that.
Okay. My only other request is keep it blue.
That's going to be tough because there's a lot of people who don't want blue.
Really?
Oh,
okay.
Yeah. Huge amount of people.
Oh, I love it. So anyway, either way, I mean, that's fine.
We'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Right. All right. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right. So motion by Mr. Huey.
Second.
Second by Mr. Clark. Superintendent.
Mr. Reed?
Aye.
Mr. Hoover?
Aye.
Mr. Clark?
Aye.
Mr. Short?
Aye.
Mr. Huey?
Aye.
Ms. Gow?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
All right. And finally, item J.
Yes. Superintendent, did you want to?
This item is approving the extended field trips for our fifth grade classes from Blanche Springs, Cordova Gardens, Empire Oaks, Gold Ridge, Navigator, Rancho Cordova Elementary, and Theodore Judah Elementary fifth grades to Sly Park for the 22-23 school year.
Okay, thank you. And I'm actually glad that this is on the agenda. And the reason why I decided to pull it is because I kind of looked at Ms. Phillips' comments, the email that she had, and it disturbs me that, we are excluding some of our students. And, this isn't the first time that I've heard about it personally. I heard about it at Rancho Cordova Elementary, the same thing. I just want to make sure that this is extended to all fifth grade students, because back in the day, I'll age myself, it was sixth grade. We had an opportunity to go to Sly Park, and for us sixth graders, it was kind of like a rite of passage. I mean, we kind of went through elementary school knowing in sixth grade we were going to Sly Park. We were all excited to find out what cabins we're in. I was a fox. But, I just want to make sure that it's extended to all fifth grade students. And also, I'm hoping that we as a district find a way to make sure that those students who are disadvantaged have an opportunity to go. I know a few years back, Gene and I actually donated to, I think it was Cordova Gardens, to ensure that a couple of students went. But I want to make sure that it's accessible to all students. So hopefully we can figure out a way to do that, set up a scholarship or whatever we can. But I'm for this. I just want to make sure that all students have that opportunity and there's no separation like at Theodore Judah. And hopefully we can get back to Ms. Phillips and find out what happened.
Yes, we will. And Dr. Huber, did you want to give a quick update on the fifth grade field trips?
Yeah, so definitely they are open to all the fifth grade classes. We did have some confusion, and we're still looking into all the particulars in terms of this particular incident at Theodore Judah. But there was some confusion because if you'll recall, we actually just started our MTSS groups, right? Because we had to keep kids in stable cohorts. And so that was a little bit of the problem, is there was some confusion in terms of whether or not classes could go at the same time, which caused some miscommunications. So we're definitely not trying to make an excuse here, but we're working to make sure that that doesn't happen again. And then also what are our options and opportunities for the remainder of the school year. So, but yes, the opportunities are always open to all of fifth grade. And so we'll be working with all the principals to make sure that that is consistent in all our elementary schools.
Okay, let me ask another question. When do they normally take the trip to Sly Park?
Varies.
Okay.
It can be throughout the entire year.
Right. So let's say the group that missed out at Theodore Judah, would it be possible for them to go with another school and give those students an opportunity to go?
So we're looking at options right now.
Okay.
Because the year, we only have, I think it's 7 weeks left of school. I mean.
Yeah, who's counting?
Yeah, so we're looking at options right now, but the window's closing obviously because of the time frame. But yeah, I'm working with Mr. Johnson on that.
Okay, great. All right, thank you.
I've got a few comments on this as well.
Yes.
Actually, I had a question about that. So what kids were, obviously the academy kids, but at other schools, were there kids that were able to go to Sly Park? I guess I'm trying to figure out where that confusion came from. Was it like all students that were not allowed this opportunity this year? Or?
No, it was more hit and miss because we had also different levels of comfort, right? In terms of teachers, volunteers, et cetera, that were interested in going. And so it did make things more complicated. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
And so some teachers were very enthusiastic and wanted to go, and other teachers were, not as comfortable. And so it presented challenges that we've never had before. And so those are the things we've got to figure out in terms of how do we mitigate that going forward.
Okay. Yeah, and I just think when I got this email, and obviously I don't have a fifth grader, but as I am also a non-academy, Theodore Judah parent. And we love having the academy at Theodore Judah parent. And we love having the academy at Theodore Judah, but it's also really important that we don't create situations where this happens, right? I mean, it's even more important, I think, at Theodore Judah because there is such a diverse group of students there. So I personally would love to see us come up with some other option. I understand that the challenges there are probably pretty great, but even if it's an alternative option or some sort of other field trip, because I'll be honest with you, I got a notice for my second grader that he's going on a field trip. He's never been on a field trip. Like that's how COVID got rid of all that. And so this idea that like, he was so excited. I'm like, I actually have a field trip, and it's just to like the Folsom Zoo, but it's something, right? It's like he gets to actually go with his class and do something outside of the classroom. So even if it's something locally that we could give our fifth graders at Theodore Judah, I think that would be an amazing opportunity to offer them. So that's what I would say. Thank you.
Yeah, it's 2 programs, but it's 1 school. So
yeah, exactly.
All right. Let's see. Do we have a motion?
I moved it.
Oh, you moved it.
I'll second.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll move it.
And, all right, and Mr. Hoover seconded it. All right, Superintendent?
Yes, Mr. Reed?
Aye.
Mr. Hoover?
Aye.
Mr. Clark?
Aye.
Mr. Short?
Aye.
Mr. Hui?
Aye.
Ms. Gao?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
All right, we are moving on to agenda item 11, discussion action. First one is adopt revisions to board policy 6170.1, transitional kindergarten. The Board of Education adopt revisions to board policy. Actually, I'm just repeating myself. Superintendent.
Yes, this is actually the second read of this board policy on transitional kindergarten. We adopted most of CSBA's recommendations and added a paragraph in there that was specific to Folsom, Cordova. That was the first full paragraph on page 2. And other than that, everything is the same from what you were presented with at the last meeting.
All right, are there any comments from the board? Questions? No? All right, is there a motion?
I'll move it.
I'll second.
Oh, you know what? I forgot to ask public comment. I apologize.
Yep.
Any public comment? All right, hearing none, I heard a motion.
My motion is.
Seconded.
All right, a motion from Mr. Clark, second from Mr. Short. Superintendent?
Mr. Reed?
Aye.
Mr. Hoover?
Aye.
Mr. Clark?
Aye.
Mr. Short?
Aye.
Mr. Hui?
Aye.
Ms. Gao?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
All right, the next item is adopt revisions to board policy 5145.9, hate-motivated behavior. Superintendent?
Yes, this board policy is also coming back for a second read. And at our last meeting, we had discussion around one paragraph in particular, and then also caught a couple of typos. But with the dialogue we had at the last meeting, we did make some modifications on page 2. On the last full paragraph, and we rephrased that sentence. And other than that, the rest of the policy is the same without the typos.
Okay. Any questions from the board?
I'll move.
Is there any public comment? All right.
I'll second.
Hearing none. Motion by Mr. Hoover, second by Mr. Short. Superintendent?
Yes, Mr. Reed?
Aye.
Mr. Hoover?
Aye.
Mr. Clark?
Aye.
Mr. Short?
Aye.
Mr. Hui?
Aye.
Ms. Gao?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. All right, moving forward to item 12, discussion. This is a first read on revisions to board policy 7310, naming of facility. Superintendent?
Yes, this item is coming to the board with some CSBA recommendations and board member recommendations. And as is our new process, we took this board policy to our policy subcommittee, which has 2 board members on it to review. And we have a color-coded policy here. The blue edits represent the CSBA recommendations, and the red ones are board member recommended, but some of those were also in CSBA's recommended language. And with that, I'll ask Mr. Washburn to also come forward because there may be some specific questions regarding facilities. And Mr. Washburn, did you want to just share one of the CSBA recommended changes that we had a little bit of concern about in that first paragraph?
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. One of the things we had in the first 1, 2, and 3, as you notice, they each kind of start off with individual's family or business living or deceased, individual living or deceased, number 2. Those are all kind of CSBA things. And then the third one, it starts with individuals, but then it also, in the brackets, talks about individuals should be deceased to be eligible to allow the entire of their accomplishments and any personal shortcomings to be considered. It might be good to be consistent with those, either one way or the other, because it could cause some confusion when you have some that say individuals living or deceased, and then one that says should be deceased. So I think maybe something that consistent might be good for that to avoid some confusion.
Yeah, and that, I apologize, I guess the red were my recommendations, and I didn't catch the living in paragraphs 1 and 2. But I can explain, at least to my colleagues, why I had suggested that insertion of that sentence regarding individuals being deceased. We're talking about the naming of school facilities, and across the country, from time to time, we have situations where we name school or any public facilities after an individual who's still living, and then some embarrassing situations occur, and then the public entities have to then retract the naming of a school facility. So the concept, at least in my mind, was if someone has passed away, you have the opportunity to see the full extent of their life before honoring them with such a prestigious acknowledgement of or recognition of having a school facility, not a room, not a bench, not a library, but a whole academic facility named after them. I'm willing to go either way on this, but that was just my thought. Mr. Short.
Yeah, we already said on the policy committee when I was talking about it. Yeah, Mangini Ranch, they're still alive. The family was there during the presentation, so I would think that we would still keep it living but there is a provision in there that we can retract in renaming. We have done that in the past, but not for those type of reasons. So it should be wide open because we do go out to the public. We do have naming facility committees that we've done in the past, like Vista del Lago, remember that one? Where Richard Shaw said Lago de Vista, and that's not correct Spanish. And I said, it should be Vista del Lago, remember that one? And we went out, the whole community, and we talked. So there's ways to vet this out, but there's no guarantees that something bad's going to happen. The board always has an option to retract it in the other provisions.
Mr. President, I think I agree with my colleague, Mr. Short, on this. I certainly can think of a number of individuals who may be retired or have, lived long lives, but still maybe are alive or living, that, we could potentially name schools after or families. So I personally would like to see it stay living or deceased. As Mr. Short mentioned, there's always the option to rename. I would think, right? Should anything ever happen like that, and that's something the board at that time could deal with. But I would prefer not to limit it at this point.
That's fine. I will retract my sentence that I have there. Although we should, for consistency, add after individuals, insert comma, living or deceased, comma, just so it matches above. All right. Any other questions? Or actually, did you have other items?
Everything else is pretty much the same. CSBA changed some of the things from may to shall. One of the things that we thought we would do, especially we're coming up on the next elementary school, is maybe take to the facility subcommittee of some options of names, and then have that bring back to the board perhaps some options and some ideas for the board to consider. So we thought that may be a good avenue, utilizing that facility subcommittee. We do have a bank of names we have collected. We have solicited community input. We put ads paper and we have a bank of names, and not to say it couldn't be something else, but I think that's something the facility subcommittee could start with and then make some options and some recommendations to the board. And it would be open for public for comment as well.
Utilizing the new criteria that we're adopting.
Exactly. Okay. And then also added to this was the whole section on naming rights. That's something that's all new by CSBA. And that's something that It's very specific. If somebody had requested to name a facility after, like, Pepsi or a specific person, wanted to contribute, there's specific guidelines for them to have to go through, an agreement they have to follow. You can specify how long the agreement is, the terms of the agreement, and anything, the benefit of why they would want to have something named after them. So that's a whole new section there, and it's very prescriptive. So you can't somebody just can't come in and say, hey, I want to name it after my dad. Well, they have to go through this protocol to make sure that it's something that the district will grant them.
Mr. President?
Yes, Mr.
So, talking about naming rights, is it naming or renaming rights? I mean, what if we had a community that says, hey, we want to change the name of a school?
And this is, I guess it could be, this is more for somebody coming in and say, I want to name this gym after somebody. Okay, they would have to go down. What are the benefits to the district? What are the roles? What are the details relating to it in the building and grounds and involved? Make sure they haven't been involved with anything that prohibits any message that the district wouldn't support, drugs, alcohol, things like that. And then obviously they reserve the right to terminate the agreement. You can also set a term. Maybe it's only for 5 years, 10 years or whatever. So it's more specific to those kind of requests. Naming it after a school, I think that's kind of a permanent type thing. This is more, I think, for specific buildings or things like that.
Okay.
To retract for a whole school, I think you would fall back to what we were talking about. Somebody would have to have, found out, did something that was not conducive to what the school environment would want as a school name.
Okay, and the other question I had, it says the board encourages community participation in the process of selecting names. The Citizen Advisory Committee shall be appointed by the board to review name suggestions and submit recommendations for board consideration. Where do we find those community members, and who are they consisted of? Chamber, are we talking about community leaders, city council? Who are those people?
This is a new thing, so it's a new, something new that's been added. We thought maybe the subcommittee could come up with the recommendations and maybe solicit out to the community a group of people. And they could select maybe an advisory or a few names and solicit from them, something like that. We'd have to probably talk about that. I could probably talk.
Yeah, I'd like to see a criteria of who. If it's a business leader or if it's like a city council member, who that committee would be.
Because we've solicited out to the community and got
Right.
all different rights, but it hasn't been a specific committee, so that would be a little different.
Okay.
Yeah.
And given the, as you know, I love history, but given some of the additional language in paragraph 2 and 3, it might be appropriate to reach out to the Folsom Historical Society and the Rancho Cordova Historical Society to get some.
Right.
I think with Angela and Dr. Klee, and we could probably work together and figure out what that would be a good committee to work together.
Okay, and Mr. President, I have one more. It was in paragraph 2. While not required, the board should consider individuals. I don't know if it's a big deal, but could consider individuals who have been inducted into the California Hall of Fame, or, it's just a play on words, should and could, but we could, right?
That's Mr. Reed's language, so you have to talk with him.
That's my language. And the rationale for that sentence is, and maybe it's a pet peeve of mine, public entities often like to name schools after beloved principals, beloved, fill in the blank, which is great. Don't get me wrong, but they also, those individuals, got paid to work on behalf of the school district, not necessarily to have facilities named after them. There's a learning opportunity when you can name a facility after someone who's been recognized by the state of California, because there's a great deal of educational material when you are inducted into the California Hall of Fame that can then become a learning exercise at that school where they get to learn and have educational components about the school that they're attending and why that person is being honored. When you name it potentially after someone who's not in the California Hall of Fame, there could be very little material as to explain what is the significance of the individual and not a learning opportunity. It's not to say we couldn't name a school after someone who's not in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
It's just being an educational establishment, what a great opportunity to have a learning experience associated with your own school.
Okay, I just want to make it clear that we're not just saying that that person is.
It's not required.
Or has been,
Yeah.
you know, in the California Hall of Fame. I mean, it could be somebody who had national significance
Absolutely.
or contributions. So
Yeah.
I just want a clarification on that.
Just one comment, Board President, if it's a
Yes.
great time for that. In item 1 on page 1, we say individuals, families, or businesses living or deceased, and entities that have made outstanding contributions, including financial contributions to the betterment of the school. I mean, it just seems to me like pointing out including financial contributions makes that a more important contribution than any other. I'm not sure why we would include it there.
That was a CSB recommendation. I would be fine taking it out, actually. I mean,
It doesn't change it, I guess, right?
It doesn't change it. I think it's something as another thing to include if you so desire to include it. If somebody made a large financial contribution, perhaps that may be a consideration naming after them, but I don't think we're tied to it either way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I would ask that we consider taking that out if the rest of the board's okay. Just that one.
How does the board feel?
It's fine with me as long as it can continue to be a consideration. I mean, I don't, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. All right. So we'll remove comma, including financial contributions, comma. All right, any other items? No? One thing I would note, I saw on the agenda, it was agendized as naming of facility, but this will change the board policy to naming of facilities, plural. Let's see, public comment. Is there any public comment? All right, hearing none. Do we have a motion?
It's discussion or?
Oh, that's right. I
So I guess
apologize.
with those changes.
Yeah.
We'll bring it back with those recommended changes. We'll highlight it and make it very colorful.
All right, wonderful.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
We'll talk about it again. One more time.
All right, moving on to agenda item 13, superintendent's report.
Yes, we had so many celebrations tonight at our board meeting. Just congratulations to our students and their achievements, whether they're the athletes or English learners, our staff members that stand and support our students and are there every single day, our classified, our certificated, our administrative. I think we heard living examples of what our students are able to accomplish even amidst the challenges that they face. And they don't stand alone. They stand with the support of so many people, not only in our schools, but in our communities too. And it really does take a village. So I am just humbled by hearing all these wonderful stories of success and achievement. And I know our students are moving forward with confidence and with skill sets that we should all be very proud of, and I'm sure their families are too. Surrounding the room today, if you didn't have a chance to take a look at this amazing student artwork, this is again pre-K through grade 12. This was part of our spring CAC art show and awards that took place this last week, and there is just some amazing creativity in the artwork. I want to thank all of our special ed team for their support of our students and for this beautiful creation and expression of art. Thank you very much. And we also have a couple of plays coming up in the spring season of performing arts. This week is Cordova High School's production of Xanadu, and then this week and next week, Folsom High's production of Alibis. So take your pick, and don't forget the ribbon cutting on Saturday morning at Mills Softball Complex.
Thank you. All right, moving on to agenda item 14, board member reports. We'll start with board member Gal.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you to all the classified staff that spoke tonight. I know I would not be where I am without the bus drivers and lunch staff and all of your wonderful work. So thank you so much. Even if students don't always show their appreciation, we really, really appreciate you and all that you do, especially during difficult past few years. And congratulations to Dr. Collegian on Educator of the Year. I haven't said that yet, but congratulations. And that's all of my reports tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see, Board Member Hui.
Yeah, thank you. I actually just had a quick question here, and so this might be more appropriate for our future board meetings, but I was curious if we're going to be having the A through G completion improvement grant come back before us at some point?
Yes, and we have that coming up.
Okay, perfect. Excited to hear more about that. If it wasn't coming, I think I had a few comments, but I'll save them for when that happens. And also just wanted to give a shout out to Mr. McDonald over at Folsom Middle School and his, I don't know, what must be 6 or 7 assistant coaches for track and field. Really appreciate all your work that you're doing for our students. There's about 200 students out on the field every day that they are managing to get through a bunch of events. So I know the kids have really been loving it, and a lot of that's because of the enthusiasm of the coaches. So appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Short.
I just want to say it was wonderful to see all the presentations tonight. And I do like the new format of the agenda. It seems to flow. It was wonderful to see all the district awards for our athletes. What a wonderful, great events that is going, and seeing the successes of our kids. And so those are all positive things. I really enjoy those. And I think the rest of the district sees it like our superintendents. We have a lot to be proud of. The attendance task force, I just wanted to tell how important that task force is. And the things that we can do here in the next 2 years is going to be really important. I mean, 2.2 million per every 1%, and we're at near 30%. So just put it's like worth what, Sean, $10 million a year is we're not really realizing right now. Is that correct? About 10 million.
That is correct.
It's $10 million. So hopefully we can find some innovative ways of getting folks and kids back to the school to be engaged. I think the field trips are one of them. I think it's what motivates kids to come back, not only just having fun things to do, but feeling engaged and coming back. I mean, it's not a simple, what I heard, there is no silver bullet, but it's going to be an interesting task force. So looking forward to see what kind of resolutions and areas of mitigation we can find out. I want to congratulate Sarah. Congratulations. Wonderful job. And looking forward to Mills Softball Complex this Saturday morning. The ceremony, we get to see another grand opening and ribbon cutting. So if you have a chance to be there, be there. It's going to be a wonderful day. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you. Let's see, Board Member Clark.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to echo the sentiment from Dr. Collegian about the Special Education Community Advisory Council. I had the opportunity to show up at the art show, and it was just amazing to see the students, how proud they were of their work. And I had an opportunity to talk to a couple of them, and I just wish I could take one of those home and put it up in my office. Be careful, I might take one on the way out. Anyway, it was a great program. I think the Vista Guitar Group played. Their music was amazing. I am going to take part in the Xanadu and the Alibi. I just got to figure out what nights I'm going. I had the opportunity today to visit Russell Ranch, Vista del Lago, Folsom High, Walnut Wood, Adult Ed, and the Innovation Academy, which was awesome. But one school in particular, and I got to give them a shout out, was Mangini Ranch. Boy, those students are just amazing, and they're coming out with something new. It's called Pep Talk, and I was fortunate enough to get the phone number, and I was gonna call in and push the categories. But what it is that you hear words of inspiration from elementary school kids, and I think that is just the neatest thing. I'm going to actually play with it when I get home and make a few phone calls and hear those student voices. So I think that's going to come out on the website. hopefully you guys will have a chance to participate in that. Kudos to all of our sports teams. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention those. Being that I love sports, there's no denying that. It's hard to keep up with what's going on. So, Mr. Maroon, you'll probably have a task, but if there's any way to get those schedules sent out, because what I've noticed, and sometimes when I'm on the websites, I want to see who's playing, especially baseball and football and basketball. I need to figure out what schools I'm going to go and watch. And so I have to develop a calendar. But it'd be great to even develop a calendar with wrestling, soccer, and all the other athletic programs that our student scholars or student athletes are in.
Let me borrow your phone. I'll set the app for you. This way you got it all down.
Okay, well, I will give that to you because I'm normally on the website under every school finding what sports programs they are, and it's kind of frustrating for me, and I'm not really good at setting schedules. I will admit that my wife does most of my games, but I would like to get hands-on and figure out how to navigate through that and try to support all the sports programs. Other than that, I will say that it's all about Cordova tomorrow. I am going to visit Cordova High, Cordova Gardens, Cordova Meadows, and the Folsom Cordova Community Charter. I look forward to interacting with the students there, and hopefully I could catch up to Jasmine and Wasim and talk to them a little bit more about their resilience and what they have gone through, especially coming into this country and the advancements that they made. Other than that, I am good. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. All right, Board Member Hoover.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to echo that, Mr. Clark, at the end there. Just thank you to Jasmine and Wasim for coming tonight and sharing their stories and their just what an incredible journey that they've been on. And I loved what Wasim said about, what they were able to accomplish given the challenges that they faced and how it actually motivated them to do even more, and they had to overcome even more. And so just very inspiring, and thank you to them for coming out. We had a great visit this week to Del Campo and Casa Robles, checking out a lot of their career technical education programs. We got to see their business and entrepreneurship program, the arts and media, construction. They had this incredible fire EMS training academy that was it was basically like a fire station. They even had a fully operative fire truck on campus. It's just incredible what some of the things they had going on at Del Campo. And then we went and saw a medical program, woodshop program, automotive program, and an agriculture program. And so just great experience. I mean, I think what we took away, and I hope, we can continue to, I know we're already actually have a lot of things planned for some new programs at some of our schools to offer more opportunities to our students, but certainly an opportunity, I think, to really get some great ideas. And so thanks for setting that up, to our district team for setting that up. I also enjoyed going to this CAC art show. That was wonderful. I love that every year. So thank you for that. And thank you for leaving the art here for us to enjoy tonight as well. And I just wanted to follow up, I just want to say thank you to anything we can do on this issue at Theodore Judah, in advance. It's funny, I was thinking back the other day to, we had a board meeting in 2020. I don't even remember. It was March or April. I don't remember anymore.
It all blends together.
It all blends together. But it was the board meeting where we basically, kind of put a pause on school. And it was like this 2 weeks to slow the spread thing, whatever that meant at the time. And I remember we were at a Thursday night board meeting and we were having the discussion about canceling field trips starting the following week, which was a Monday. My son at the time was in kindergarten. He had a field trip on Friday. And I think I was the one that canceled this field trip because I was like, wait a second, if we're canceling all these field trips Monday, we probably should cancel them tomorrow too. I mean, this is when we knew nothing about the virus and all this stuff. So because of me, he's never been on a field trip. And so but I just, the joy in his face the other day when he got that notice, and then obviously his sister was very jealous. But I just think that it means so much to these kids. And so anything we can do, I think would be amazing on that. And then I think that's going to be it for me tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. I also want to comment on Jasmine and Wasim. I mean, it was remarkable. I mean, they truly are remarkable in their stories. Very emotional, too. And, I had to smile when Wasim mentioned, I think he said he was it ninth grade or seventh grade, that he had a teacher, I think it was seventh grade, that he had a teacher, he almost moved out of the class because it was a hard teacher, but he decided to stick to it and was one of his best teachers. And the reason why I smiled is, gosh, that defines all the hard teachers I've ever had in my life. The hardest teachers out there, you don't appreciate them when you have them. You're complaining up a storm about, it's unfair, it's all this, that, but when you graduate, or even, not even graduate, when you move on to another year, or even when you become an adult and you reflect back, it's those teachers. It's the teachers that were the hardest and that you respect the most, and you really appreciate what they did for you. And so, I think that was kind of reflected a little bit with what Wasim said. So anyway, tremendous success story, and I know they're just two representatives of a much larger success story. So Sarah, again, congratulations. That's 2 in a row. Don't things happen in threes? I think. Josh board member Hoover already mentioned the little field trip we took to San Juan Unified to look at the trade school programs. I only could make a small portion of that day, but the portion I made, I was very impressed, and really gave, I think, all who attended a lot of different ideas of outside the box and things we could potentially do in our district as well. I'm a strong fan of trade school programs, and I think there's by the way, we have wonderful trade school programs right now, but we can always get better. And when we look at what other schools are doing, we can get ideas and to make ours better. So, and then just finally, again, those sports teams. I mean, it's almost embarrassing how successful we've been, but no complaints. I congratulate all of our high schools and all of the sports programs for their accomplishments. So that's all I have for this evening. Moving on to agenda item 15, advanced planning. Our next meeting is April 7th. You have the 12-month calendar that's attached. Suggested future agenda items. We have the agenda items that are listed here that staff is working on. Are there any board members that have any future items that they want to raise? Anybody? No?
I'll just have a comment.
Sure.
If I may. Just on this top item here, Mr. Short was talking about attendance, and I understand that's pending review in our policy committee, but I just want to reiterate the type of impact that could have on our attendance, and why we probably do need to discuss that sooner rather than later. And then the other one was, I don't know if it's on here, but I've been pounding this drum, but I would love to continue to have the discussion on early late, and I would love to get an update on when we will be discussing that again as a board. Thank you.
That'll be forthcoming alongside the full day kinder and
Okay.
the transitional K. We're doing it all
Wonderful.
together.
Okay, thank you.
And while I have one to add, I'm not going to add it tonight, just because I think staff has enough on their plate right now. So I'll bring that up at a future meeting. All right, so that takes us to agenda items 16, 17, and 18, and 19, which were all based on a closed session if needed, and I can report that those are not needed this evening. So we will then go to agenda item 20, adjournment, and if there is no objection, we will adjourn the meeting by unanimous consent. Is there an objection? Hearing none, we're adjourned. Thank you.